Igbo-ness is not just about location. It is a state of being. All right? Igbo, we've been here from time immemorial. Sorry to say, some people claim that we are Israelites, but we are not. We might even be older than the people of Israel in terms of origin and all those.
We are like Wike's name supposed to be NW, not actually Wike.
Now,
because it's an anglicized.
Don't forget that there are dialectical differences.
Yes.
There are people who call Madu Abuchi, they call it Madu Auchi. So because it's turned from, because in your own dialect, in your own Igbo dialect, you call it Madu Abuchi. Does not mean that Madu Auchi. It does not mean the same thing with Madu Abuchi. All right? And now there is no need, or there is no gainsaying that the Igbo people are cut across a lot of non-Igbo states. For instance, if you go to Kogi State now, the Abaji people.
This is the stereotypes.
Igbo speaking communities outside the southeast deny they are not Igbos because the Yorubas who are not in the southwest actually acknowledge they are Yorubas. Like they are in Edo, they are in Kogi, and they are in Ikwerre states. And they are so much connected to their roots and are so proud of it. Unlike Igbo identity is, should you say, it's identity crisis for us and for them outside, or for us, because when you say them, we are all Igbo, but they've chosen not to be Igbo.
Someone who is running away from his father's house, probably because he needs to start his own state, should not say that he's not from that father's state. Anyways, I believe that one of the reasons why some other group of Igbo people who are outside the 5 major states of the Southeast are actually claiming not to be Igbos, primarily is for political reasons. A lot of them just wants to actually embrace that status of minority as a bargaining tool towards political power. And especially in the states where they dwell.
Well, yes, and most times this thing started after the war, especially from their politicians, because then with Zig and a lot of the guys, Kadibo, the Senate president, then what's his name, Mwaforis, and all those guys, there were a lot of big guys from this side.
Yes, of course.
And when you accept being this one, I think you'll be at the back of the.
A lot of them were also afraid of being dominated by those they saw as the major players in Igbo social-cultural sphere, especially those from maybe Anambra, Imo,
then initially there was nothing like Imo, Anambra.
Yes, I'm stating it as it exists now, because a lot of time you see them they choose to play the game of minority. At least if in their search for political power. They use it as a bargaining chip, like I've said before. Apart from just using it as for bargaining chips, you still see a lot of them try to run away from that Igbo stereotype.
Yeah, because being an Igbo is not easy.
No. In the Nigerian construct,
yes.
If it's easier not to identify as Igbo than being
identifying
labeled an Igbo person, people they see you with a different eye.
Yes, and to stay away from that, a lot of them just follow the easy path. Now, do you agree with what former Minister of Transport said about the definition of who an Igbo is? He said, anyone who says he's not Igbo is not Igbo. Igbo is not only an ethnic identity; it's also a way of life. Do you actually agree?
Prior to the coming of the white men, I think the terminology Igbo never existed.
Yes.
Now, if you look at it, our forefathers refer to ourselves as Ndibo. That is
people of the
original inhabitants. That is people of the old, those who are dwellers of the land indigenous. In which they were found.
Yes.
All right. So they call themselves Ndibo. So be it as it may, and then across human endeavor or human evolution, you discover that no ethnic group exists in a watertight contraption.
Yeah,
there are throws and flows. There is migration and there is cross migration. Yeah. All right. Now, a lot of people migrate from one place and then they relocate to some other places and then they mix up. they become indigenous to the place where they dwell. Or if you look at all the states that has boundaries with the Igbo people, you see a hodgepodge of Igbo settlements, places that were originally Igbo, all right, or that the Igbo people had settled over time before the coming of the white people, for instance. You see Jaja of Opobo, and then whatsoever he did with the white men, he went into bargains with them with the name of Opobo, right? And now you come back to the subject topic we were always talking about, whether the Ikwerre people were Igbo or they are not Igbo. And then you see that it's evenly divided. Some believe that the Ikwerre people are core Igbos, and then some are living in self-denial. Now they say it's due to intermarriage and all this. Now, Igbo people too have been intermarrying other ethnic nationalities.
Like Jaws and all this.
Yes, then even Idom, those from Kogi State too, that are non-Igbo, because there are indigenous Igbo people in Kogi State and in Benue.
That's what you're saying, because without their theory, that means with our tribal marriage with the Gala or the Doma, by now that line would have actually been.
Yes, of course.
And even at that, what half a century now that they are not actually identified as Igbo. That means the separation would have been very, very wide. If
yes, of course.
Their
yes,
theories.
of course.
But that's not the case. Like Wike said, it can never be Igbo. This even when they are bearing Igbo names. But you must give them that.
You cannot claim not to be Igbo. And then, have you ever listened to the former local government chairman of what was it called? Is it
Obia? Is it Chief Lloyd? Or
He speaks Igbo.
And,
yes, and then most recently, I had one of an Ikwerre guy addressing a group of people in a town hall, and then he said that they are Igbo people.
Yes.
All right. So listen, there are people who understand that Igbo-ness is not just about location; it is a state of being. All right, Igbo, we've been here from time immemorial. Sorry to say, some people claim that we are Israelites, but we are not. We might even be older than the people of Israel in terms of origin and all those.
We are like Wike's name supposed to be NW, not actually Wike.
Now, don't forget that there are dialectical differences.
Yes.
There are people who call Madu Abuchi, they call it Madu Auchi. So because it is turned from, because in your own dialect, in your own Igbo dialect, you call it Madu Abuchi. Does not mean that Madu Auchi. It does not mean the same thing with Madu Abuchi. All right. And now there is no need, or there is no gainsaying that the Igbo people are cut across a lot of non-Igbo states. For instance, if you go to Kogi State now, the Abaji people, all right, you see them that they have cultural. If you go to Abaji, that community they call Odeke.
Yeah.
And now they have this
linguistic
ties with these people from Aguleri.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what makes you an Igbo person in this sense is not just the language you speak; it is the names you bear. All right.
The culture
you practice, and now, like what are the do's and don'ts that forms the fulcrum of the Igbo cultural value?
The religious practice.
All right, the religious practices.
No, I don't want us to go into
common ties.
I don't want to go into this Ikwerre stuff. We talked about it for a very long time.
Yes.
Because a lot of people have talked about the Ikweres. They've said whatever. If you want to become an Ikwerre person, you can be. If you want to be Igbo, you can be Igbo.
Yes, of course.
Now, but the issue now is sometimes I even believe that if my dad was born as an Ikwerre person, maybe we'll be defending Ikwerre stuff, because it's not really easy. You know, the brain, they actually, it's very hard to change what they've been.
The Ikwerre people, I think the challenge is that a lot of them are not good students of history, especially those who defend all the rubbish. A lot of people don't understand that we have a large deposit of indigenous Igbo people in Kogi State, in Abaji, Igalamela. You have Ozara, all right? These are pure Igbo. You have Amuwane, you have Ameke, you have Ugweboy. And all these things are Igbo people. And then you go down to a community like Akpanya. at least over 85% of them speaks Igbo.
Igbo,
all right,
like the dialects.
Yes. Now, if you go to like if you still go back to that Igalamela, you see Echo of Rugo. All right. Now, even though a lot of them speak Igbo as first language, because they are due to close proximity with the Igala people.
Igala is their
yes,
second language.
Is their second language.
Yeah.
And then it's common among communities in boundary areas, right? Now, you go to Benue, the Benue state too. You have a lot of them too. All right.
Yeah.
Now, in Benue, you have communities like Efium, you have Umuezoka, you have Ameka or Ama Emeka, or however you choose to pronounce it.
But apart from Ikwerre, a lot of these smaller communities don't even get the visibility Ikwerre gets. And some of them not deny it. I've seen some of the interviews. I think Namen or that was in Igbos or something like that.
Yes.
You can see the way they come out, they show them their central worship center, traditional worship center, a lot of things who have the same setting, both the administrative and all those things. I think it's only Ikwerre. The market guys are not as so vicious towards Igbos as Ikwerre.
No, the Ibanke people, if not because of the kind of discrimination they suffer in Edo State, if they had the sort of privileged position the Ikwerre has in River State, they would deny their Igbo. But you know that the Ibanke people of Edo State, they are from the Ika Igbo.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the Ika Igbo, you're talking about people they are closely affiliated to the Anioma
people. Yeah.
All right. Now they speak the same pattern of Igbo.
Yeah.
All right. What was this town of JP Abo? Down to that their local government in Edo State. These are Igbo people, and then they don't even argue it.
No, those people don't have serious problem like the Ikwerre.
Yes.
Among all other ethnic groups, let me not say ethnic groups, Igbo communities living outside the Southeast. The Ikweres, I don't know how to place it, but the right word to use is like merchant of hatred for the Igbos, because
now an
average Ikwerre person hates the Igbos, and I think they thrive on this.
Well, no. I don't agree that you cannot hate your own kin.
No.
All right, you might have disagreement.
So what sponsors those kind of?
There are possibilities that if you divide the Ikwerre into two, that there are elements of those Ikwerre people who migrated elsewhere. For instance, if you go across different communities of Igbo, in fact, all the communities in Igbo people, there are those who are the original inhabitants of that place.
And there are others who joined them later.
Who migrated from joined them to form that community.
Yeah.
So when the Ikwerre people are arguing that they are not Igbo, sometimes we give them a little bit of listening because there might be a certain aspect of those Ikwerre people who are actually trying to force it on the other Igbo Ikwerre people, those other Ikwerre people who believe that they are Igbo, they are trying to force their own historical or their own the history of their own origin on those Igbo Ikwerre people. All right,
you are very, very correct.
So it's not something that we don't see every day. They happen even in the villages. That's why sometimes when you argue, you see, even most times you see that the original inhabitants of certain towns and villages are even the smallest. In numerical strength.
It's mostly the case.
All right. Yeah. Now, then those people who transmigrated to that place, you see them, they begin to dominate and then even
take over everything
and then judge a lot of things.
The other ones
but the denial, see, it's just like the colonial masters started this thing. All right. This balkanization of our own people. From drawing a map on the table to carve out Africa and share. Now, when they came in, they didn't actually pay cognizance, especially the colonizers. Even those who tried to unify a certain group of people, like you look at the Yoruba and then how the British missionaries gave them an identity. And then you look at the Igbo people and how the missionaries also gave them an identity as an Igbo, as a one set of Igbo people. Because prior to this, the Igbo communities were very acephalous communities, independent of each other, even though they share either historical ties or just language, and then culture.
Similarities, yes.
But they never saw themselves
as
one
one
people.
tribe. Yes.
All right, now. So, but the British missionaries did a great deal of work linking all of them together. So when you see a group of people who say they are not, you see, you can't really do much.
We can't really dispute totally that they may not be. There are other people. Thank God, there are people who say they are Igbos and people who say they are not Igbos.
Now, if you look at during the British, when the British came into the Igbo land, into the hinterland of the Igbo or Igbo land, now you see there is one very prominent group of people who fought against the incursion of the British, the Ekumeku. The Ekumeku were ran down not just from they ran down from Asaba down to Ibanke people. And now, you know, that the word Ekumeku was a corrupted version of a code the warriors who fought the British used. They say Ekunoku. All right. Now, that Ekunoku was corrupted to mean Ekumeku. You know, so it was a resistance fight. Now, they didn't unite to fight because they were one people. They united to fight because they had a common enemy. All right, yeah, which was the British. And then there was a kind of a distrust among the indigenous people and the British. So whatsoever necessary evil that should be done was done to make sure the British was actually taken out of the land. Unfortunately, their quest failed. So anybody who is Igbo and denies his Igbo-ness is just making fully of himself.